This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Thank you for listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, where we discuss everything there is to know in the world of sports. I am Ben, as always.
And I'm Alex.
How are you today?
I'm good. NFL football, in a sense, starts today.
Yeah, we did not have the Hall of Fame game on Sunday due to unsafe field conditions. So now, tonight, we have the official start of at least some sort of football. So we have a number of games. We're going to be breaking pretty much not all the games down, but some of the top matchups, some of the things we're going to be looking for in the preseason. We're not going to do it in this show. Are we going to do it in the next show, right?
Well, actually, tonight's the games, so just doing this show.
Okay, so we're doing this show. Yes. Yeah. So we have,
when we were setting them up, I completely forgot that.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games on the schedule tonight. We'll be talking about them in a little bit of a later segment.
Yes,
so
we will.
We're going to jump into the Olympics.
And then we have that segment, and then we talk about baseball and Prince Fielder. But before that, I can't let you go without giving you my fun fact of the day.
Yes, that is correct.
So Ben is he's probably the biggest, if not tied for the biggest Packer fan I know in my life. I'm with my best friend, Matt. Who's your favorite player of all time?
Of all time on the Packers?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. My buddy Matt is Clay Matthews.
Of all time? Wow.
Yeah. He's not as much of a football historian as you and I are, though. Or at least not necessarily you and I, but you know much more about the older days. You know, he does love himself some Bubba Franks. Yeah,
he was a good player of all time. I mean, I guess I have to go with some of the players I've watched.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, as much as me as a Steeler fan, like I love Franco Harris and Mean Joe Green, all those players from the '70s. I didn't watch them, so that's
right.
That's the main reason why Roethlisberger has always been my favorite Steeler of all time and my favorite quarterback of all time. It's just I got to watch him from his first start, literally until he starts his first game this year.
Right.
So
I guess I'll have two. I'll do one offense, one defense. I'd say my all-time favorite on the Packers is probably Brett Favre.
Yeah,
even though he,
it's okay,
you could say he kind of turned the other cheek on the Packers towards the end of his career, but I'm not going to hold that against him. One of the greatest quarterbacks ever, just inducted into Hall of Fame last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably my favorite Packer of all time that I've been watching. On defense, I'd probably say Reggie White, though.
Yeah, I would say if I went offense, defense, it would be Roethlisberger, and defense would probably be Polamalu.
Yeah.
If not, I really liked Aaron Smith, Casey Hampton, James Ferrier, or even he was a free agent that came over from the Jets. He played the majority of his career, I feel like, with the Steelers. So I'm with you, man. I like your style. All right. So the fact of the day has to do with the Cheeseheads. So you're familiar with the Cheeseheads, I'm sure.
Yes, I own one.
Do you know how it became a thing? Like how it became a nickname?
Well, I mean, I'm sure it has to do something with Wisconsin.
Yes, but do you know how they got the nickname?
No.
So, I mean, obviously, yes, has to do with Wisconsin. But obviously, you are familiar with the Chicago Bears and the fact that
of course.
Packers have quite the rivalry with the Bears. Well, when the Bears won the Super Bowl in '85, excuse me, the
Mike Ditka
Buddy
15
Ryan,
and
arguably
1
best defense of all time in a single season year, Bears fans started taunting the Packers fans by calling them cheeseheads. I guess that's what '80s insults were. So Wisconsinites is what the word is. They embraced it, and a man in 1987 named Ralph Bruno showed up to a Milwaukee Brewers game wearing what was the first ever cheesehead made out of foam from his mother's couch. Instead of laughing at him or making fun of him, Brewers fans asked the man to make them cheese-shaped hats, and ever since then, Bruno's company, Formation Inc., you like that, Formation Inc.? That's pretty good, right? They now make the entire line of cheesehead-related products.
And
Ever since 1987.
I do know there's a lot. Like, you can get a tie.
There's
like
tie,
chairs.
you can get the hat, you can get like pants, like
Yeah.
like little shorts to put on, like not over, but like they go in the front, like they like SpongeBob shorts.
There is a lot. I know there's a lot of
There's
different
keychain things,
right.
things for your.
I remember one time I was watching
in your car.
I remember one time I was watching a game, and I assume they bought like a children's one, and they made like a string on it, and they had it on a dog. It was great.
I like that. That's good.
So this guy can really thank the Bears for making him probably a millionaire now.
Oh, I guarantee that guy's got. I mean, it is specific.
The Packers are one of the most
fans,
popular teams in the United States.
It's funny too. The Packers are probably, I'd say, top 5 in popularity in football, and probably top 20 in popularity in sports in general. And they have the absolute smallest market of any team in professional sports.
And we have the most unflashy jerseys and logo and.
Yeah, I relate that to the Steelers too. Like the Steelers and the Packers have very similar qualities about them.
I can't tell you one time I've literally seen the Packers change their jersey.
The throwback.
Well, yeah,
Besides
but that was
that,
like 80
yeah,
years ago. I'm
the
talking about
last time the Steelers changed it was just an upgrade from the ones they saw in the 70s to now. But yeah, they had one in the 60s that was a little different. But
think about
same thing with the Packers. Yeah.
Think about within like the last 10 to 15 years, almost every team has done at least some sort of altercation to their mascot, to their uniform, something. Nothing with the Packers.
Not true.
Literally.
Not true. They did the same thing the Steelers did that they haven't changed. The Steelers haven't changed much either, except for the throwbacks, of course. But the Super Bowl in 2010/11 between the Packers and the Steelers was the first Super Bowl ever to feature two teams that did not have cheerleaders.
Yeah, I know that. That's
Since
exactly.
then, the Packers and the Steelers have garnered some cheerleaders.
That's what I'm saying. Like
that's the only change.
They're like the most basic,
Consistent.
unflashy. One of the most basic and unflashy teams out there.
Yellow and green, black and yellow.
Because if you look at some of the flashy teams, I'd say the Seahawks and the Dolphins probably have the best jerseys right now.
I don't like the Dolphins jerseys really.
I love that teal.
I don't like. Yeah, but sometimes it's off. I like the teal with the blue, with the white. I don't like the teal on teal.
But like, I'm just saying, like those two are probably like the most flashy, and then like the Tampa Bays are pretty flashy.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Packers and the Steelers just so basic. Like the Packers don't even have a logo or like a stripe or like
the Steelers have their logo on one side of their helmet.
You know what I mean? It's like
yeah, I love it.
We
picked some good teams.
They're
to
so
like,
popular.
man.
So
we picked some good teams to like.
Yeah, I guess we did.
Okay, well, moving from flashy to flashy medals, I suppose you could say. We'll update you here on the medal count of the Olympics. Currently, the United States is still in the lead and building that lead over China with 32 total medals. They are currently in first place now with an 11th gold, an 11th silver, and a 10th.
10 bronze.
I'm sorry, I was looking at they lead the nations in gold and silver, and then 11 is led by bronze. Bronze is led with 11 by Japan. But so 32 with the United States currently, and they only look to build upon that. China is right behind them at 25. They have 10, 6, and 9. And then it's a pretty big drop off to 18 with Japan, and they have 6, 1, and then of course 11 bronzes. The unfortunate bottom dwellers, I would say, for whatever reason, there's plenty of teams tied with 1. I would say, technically speaking, the farthest down there looks to be, is it Estonia?
There's quite a lot.
There's Israel, Norway, Tunisia, Portugal. There's a lot of nations tied with 1,
and they're mainly bronze. There's a couple of silvers in there.
Yeah, or like Argentina has 1 gold. I guess if you're going to get 1, Argentina looks like South Korea and the IOC that's the committee for is that the refugee team?
I'm not sure.
Well, they all have 1, and it's all gold. So I mean, if you're gonna do it big, I guess.
I know one thing Argentina won't be winning gold in, and that's the men's soccer because they got eliminated.
They did get eliminated, as a matter of fact. You are 100% correct on that. We'll update you on some things that actually just recently started getting finished, and that's actually today. We have swimming getting finished. Men's butterflies getting going.
Swimming ends, I think, on Saturday. The track and field starts Friday.
Track and field does start on Friday, yeah.
I'm looking forward to the track and field. I always like the track and field of the Olympics. So as far as some medals go, the United States women's gymnastic team won gold. Pretty much everyone expected that. They have some of the best women's gymnastics. Think of people like Simone Biles, Gabby Douglas, who swept a lot of things at the 2012 Olympic Games in London.
You're talking the gymnastics, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Ali Reisman.
The
favorite.
women's team's doing great with the gymnastics. Men's not so much, but can't have it both ways sometimes. So, as far as some of the other games, the basketball, the men's team had quite a tough game last night against the Australian team. They were actually
trailed at halftime.
Trailing at the halftime. I watched about the last 6 minutes. It was close.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. were only up about 4, but then they ended up going on to win by 10. So I think Australia probably poses the most serious threat so far to the men's. Obviously, the 3 games we've played, but I'm talking about in the whole tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say if any team is going to upset the United States in the men's basketball, it's going to be Australia. They look like the most serious threat to the United States. The women's are doing great. They beat Serbia yesterday as well handily. So they're right on their way. Carmelo Anthony for the men did become the highest scoring
men's Olympian
for the United States.
Yeah.
He passed LeBron. So he has played more. So of course with time, things happen. But he did have a good game last night. He had 31 points.
He did, yeah.
Shot 9 of 15 from behind the 3-point line. Really the catalyst in that victory over the Australians last night.
Mm-hmm. And then also we have some updates in terms of medals. The Olympic medals and not all of them, of course, have been handed out yet, but some swimming is finishing. But the United States women did win the 200-meter freestyle relay this past week, as well as Mr. Gold Medal.
Michael Phelps
winning another gold.
Yeah, he won the 200-meter butterfly. That
right
was
in the face of that guy that was trying to give him a hard time.
That was on Tuesday night. So Chad Leclerc actually finished 4th in that race, so he didn't even medal. He was the defending champion at the 2012 Olympic Games, but he didn't even medal in that event.
Did you see that the picture of him staring at Phelps as Phelps was closing out the win? Like he was watching him and Phelps was just focused on his swim. And
says, like looking over in the pool?
It says, losers focus on the winners and winners focus on winning or whatever. I was like, oh.
He needs some ice for that. He needs some ice for that burn.
He needs to stay in that pool. So that
Did you see Katie Ledecky last night?
She killed it.
In the relay?
Yeah, she looked like she had like flippers.
She is unbelievable. I think
she does.
I'd say more so than anything recently.
Mm-hmm.
She's probably one of the greatest freestyle swimmers we're ever going to see.
Yeah, she's fast.
And she's only 19 years old. Think about where she could be at 23 in the 2020 games in Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
She came in second in the order for the relay. She came in the pool losing by 0.89 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
By the time she was done doing her 200 meters, she had about a 1.5 second lead. So think about that turnaround.
That's pretty quick.
That is unbelievable.
That's a pretty quick turnaround, if you ask me.
And she's only 19 years old.
Yeah,
I'd say Phelps is definitely stealing a lot of the headlines. Lily King with her 100-meter breaststroke victory over the Russian Yulia Efimova with the whole drug suspension weighing over her head.
That was pretty awesome.
How outspoken King was. And then Phelps is really dominating the headlines in his 5th Olympic Games. But I'd say in the next Olympic Games in 2020, you're going to have that same effect with Ledecky that Phelps had really when he won all those golds in Beijing, the 8 gold medals. You might have that same effect, that same media coverage 4 years from now with Ledecky than you did with Michael Phelps, which is something I thought I would never see again.
Yeah, and then, of course, you have Missy Franklin as well, who's come back from last Olympics.
And she's really struggled this Olympics.
Well, she has 1 gold, though. She has a gold in the 4x200-meter freestyle relay.
That's along with the Ledecky.
Yeah,
they won it last night.
That's what I'm saying. She does have that gold at least. She hasn't produced the same way as she did in her prior Olympics in London, but I mean, keep an eye out. But yeah, Ledecky, she's just, for someone so young, she has 3 golds.
It's remarkable.
1 silver. She has a gold in the women's freestyle, like you said, 200-meter freestyle, the 400-meter freestyle, the relay, and then a silver in the 4x100 relay as well. And then currently, right now, the heats are going for the women's 800-meter freestyle. That's in progress currently. So
she's the world record holder for that. So you got to think she's going to be the heavy favorite.
Mm-hmm.
She's the world record holder for the 400, the 800, and the 1500 for freestyle.
Yeah, and then obviously Michael Phelps this year so far has 3 gold medals, 2 relays, and then the 200-meter butterfly, which is kind of his thing.
That's his signature.
Yeah, he's got the 100-meter butterfly left. It starts today around 10:30-ish here in California, so whatever time that is for you guys. And the 100-meter butterfly, the heats are going on currently. And then today there's also the 200-meter men's individual medley ended as well. They did not – I don't think they medaled in that, though.
You know what started today?
What's that?
Golf.
Golf did start today, finally.
So this is the first time golf has been in the Olympics since 1904. So over 100 years. So this is quite a big deal.
Yeah, I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, the golf has not been in the Olympics for over 100 years.
Look
and
at you, Ben. You stumped
today.
me on a fact.
Maybe that should be my fun fact of the day.
Dude, do it.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll figure it out. Maybe I will.
Maybe you will. So I got a question for you because you actually, I know the answer. I mean, I kind of asked, you showed me. But, hey, did you see that German soccer score?
Oh, yesterday yesterday was the conclusion of the men's group stages for the soccer. Germany ended up beating Fiji 10-0.
That wasn't the only big win of this tournament either. I mean,
Korea
no. Won 8-0 earlier in the tournament.
Yeah,
a couple
Fiji
of 5-1
really
finishes.
Fiji,
they got beat by Mexico 5-1.
For the whole tournament, they got outscored 23-1.
I mean, it would have been 13-1 if
right
Germany
if they before that Germany
goals.
Game. So Mexico is actually the defending gold medal champions, and they're out.
Yeah,
because South Korea advanced, and Germany did with their win over Fiji last night. Because South Korea beat Mexico on our soccer show on Tuesday. I mentioned for Germany they should be able to beat Fiji quite handily, which they obviously did. And then the best thing to happen for Germany would to see either South Korea or Mexico win, which South Korea did end up winning that game. I believe it was 1-0. So that was the best thing for the German team. They advanced into the quarterfinals. We have the quarterfinals set. I know that Brazil advanced. They beat Denmark 4-0 last night. Denmark also advanced too. Colombia's in, Portugal's in, Germany, South Korea. I'm missing a few, I know. But so we have the quarterfinals set for the men's, and then the women's should be getting concluded within the next day or so as well.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, and I mean, it was just like you messaged me. It was just crazy to see, 10-1. That's heavy duty.
I thought my phone was glitching because I was on my app, and I saw that, and I was like, wait, this has got to be a mistake. So then I click on it, and I get the description, and I see that Serge Gnabry has a hat trick. I see that Niels Peterson has 5 goals, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like this really happened.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and I was very surprised. I thought it was like a joke or something, but what are you gonna do? I mean, and the one thing too, in a flip, the German women's team actually got beat by Canada in what was called a post-historic win over Germany. In the tournament this year. I don't know what necessarily makes it historic for them without having read too far into. Let's see. It's the first ever win over Germany in 13 meetings. Wow, that is impressive. I would say that's impressive for sure.
Yeah, and we mentioned that the golf got kicked off, or I should say teed off today.
There you go.
How about that? So we have the first round scores of a lot of these guys. So Marcus Fraser of actually that looks like Australia. So Marcus Fraser of Australia is the leader right now. He had an 8 under round today. We have Graham Delat from Canada. He's at 5 under. Then we have a host of people at 4 under, featuring Henrik Stenson, who won the British Open, and as well as a number of other people as well, that they're still still on the course in the round. So who knows if they could even finish higher.
You know what I can't wait for?
What's that?
An Olympics in America again, so I don't have to wake up at 3:30 in the morning if I want to watch golf or things of that nature.
The Premier League is starting this weekend, so I will be up about 5:30 every Saturday and Sunday from now till about May, most likely, to watch games. So
that sounds really exciting and horrible at the same time.
Kind of both, yeah, I'd say.
All right, well, hey, we're going to take our first break, and then we'll be back to go through the NFL preseason week 1 and some things notably to take a look at and to keep an eye out for players, matchups, things of that nature. So we'll be right back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back into the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. We're going to be kicking it off now with the NFL Preseason, which gets kicked off tonight.
Yes,
a lot of teams. We have 5 games in action tonight. Teams getting their first taste.
We got 6 games today.
Do we?
Yeah, we have Buccaneers, Eagles, Redskins, Falcons.
Yes, we do.
Panthers,
Yes, we do.
Ravens,
Yes, we do.
Jaguars, Jets, Saints, Patriots, and the Broncos and the Bears.
Yes, we do. So, what are some things you're looking forward to tonight's action?
So, I'll go night by night from Thursday through Sunday. So, tonight I'm looking forward to a few things. As a matter of fact, it depends.
Am I.
It depends if certain players are playing. The Buccaneers, typically with first round picks that are automatic starters, you typically have them even if it's their next year. Quarterbacks too, they do play a little bit more than say a veteran would in the preseason. So I'm looking forward to seeing some Jameis Winston action. I'm also looking forward to see Carson Wentz play in the first action of the Eagles.
Yeah, number 2 overall pick, first round pick for the Eagles. Probably see some. I'd say third team. I wouldn't say second team
He'll have
reps,
third team,
but
yeah.
we'll see him on the field at least.
Yeah, he'll have third team behind Bradford and I can't think of his name right now. Backup from the Chiefs last year.
Chase Daniel,
thank you. God, man, for the Saints so long. Okay, the Redskins game, that's one of the ones I'm really looking forward to in the sense of I want to see if Norman plays.
Norman versus Jones, Julio Jones?
You mean for a minute, maybe.
For a series?
That'll be a fun game in the regular season if it occurs, but I want to see if Norman gets any action personally. The Panthers, I know they're going to ease Kelvin Benjamin back into game action, so I'm not sure if he's going to play. I'm pretty sure the Ravens are going to have Flacco play or Steve Smith, so that game isn't as much of a draw to me. The Jets and Jaguars game I'm interested in because I want to see some Christian Hackenberg action, see how he plays.
See Fitzpatrick back as well.
See Fitzpatrick. I don't know if he's going to play, though, because he only resigned, last week?
A couple weeks ago.
I don't know if he's in game shape yet. The Saints-Patriots game, Brady, of course, isn't going to play, I don't think. He for sure isn't going to start.
They announced he will not play.
Yeah, so Garoppolo is starting.
And you'd expect him to see a lot of action since he's going to need to lead the team for the first 4 games of the season.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm not surprised at all that Garoppolo's starting, so I'm going to like to watch a little bit of Garoppolo play. And then the Broncos and the Bears, I'm excited for a few reasons, and that's because the Broncos have the stable of quarterbacks I want to keep an eye on. Sanchez is starting the first half, and then you're going to have Trevor Siemian play the first quarter. Trevor Siemian's going to play the second quarter, and then first-round pick Paxton Lynch is going to play the end of the game, the second half, the third and fourth quarters. So I'm going to be interested to see how he plays. Moving on to Friday, I have the Dolphins and the Giants playing. Not much to really keep an eye on in that game. Maybe look at Eli Apple, who is a cornerback they drafted out of Ohio State that I was sort of high on.
The Giants did.
Yeah, the Giants did draft. See how he plays, see if there's that whole, lament that we didn't get him as a Steeler fan, but interested enough to move on to the said Steelers and Lions. Of course, I have more stake in this game because I'll be looking at plenty of different players between Artie Burns and Duran Grant, our second-round pick Sean Davis this year, Jerron Hargrave, draft picks pretty much from this year, some young players from last year, Jesse James, the tight end outlaw for the Steelers, the 81, big guy, 6'6". See some Landry Jones action. Ben's not playing. Antonio Brown's not playing. Probably a lot of veterans. James Harrison's probably not going to play. So see some action from our first-round picks from last year. Bud Dupree. Unfortunately, Senquez Golson is probably out for at least 6 to 8 months or weeks or whatever it was. I'm not sure how long, but unfortunate to say the least. Vikings-Bengals is getting kicked off 30 minutes after that game, and there's not much else for me to keep an eye on in that game either. I would say I would want to have kept an eye on William Jackson III, but he's currently hurt and is at risk of missing most of the season, as a matter of fact, for the Bengals. So there's not as much I want to see really in that game.
I'd say
maybe a little bit of AJ McCarron because you know how I like quarterbacks.
Right.
So maybe a little bit of AJ McCarron action.
I'd say if anything with the Bengals, the one thing I would look at during this preseason is who at that wide receiver position steps up to complement AJ Green. They don't have Mohamed Sanu anymore. They don't have Marvin Jones anymore. They both went on different teams in the offseason. So they need a new solid number 2. They're not going to have the tight end Tyler Eifert, who led them in touchdown catches last year.
For the first couple weeks.
They're not going to have him for a while after he got hurt in the Pro Bowl. So they're going to need a new threat to oppose A.J. Green there. I'm interested to see who could sort of maybe stake a claim to be that person in this preseason. That's the one thing, I'm not a fan of the preseason.
I know you're not, yeah.
That's the one thing I do kind of look at with the preseason, though, is who can sort of take advantage of a good preseason and build that to the NFL. A couple days ago, we talked about Victor Cruz, how he's been sidelined.
That's exactly what he did.
But really, his breakout was he had a great preseason, injuries for the Giants wide receivers in the early part of that season. Then he got propelled into a starting role out of nowhere, and then he took it and ran with it. Yeah. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
And then another guy you're going to be familiar with is Antonio Brown.
Yeah, absolutely.
He had a good playoff game. I want to say it was against the Broncos for some reason, like
Ravens.
a few years back.
Against the Ravens.
And then
he had that one-handed pin to his helmet catch the year we went to the Super Bowl.
Okay, yes. So it might have been the Ravens. And then he had a solid preseason the next year. And I'm like, okay, this is a guy who could be like a breakout deep, for fantasy football, like a deep round breakout guy. And now look at him now. I'd say for the past 2 seasons, he's been the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Easy, yeah.
So that's the one thing I do look at with the preseason.
Yeah, that's one of the many reasons why I like the preseason.
Is who can sort of take advantage of things and really run with it. One team I'm not necessarily looking forward to, but one that sort of catches my eye tonight is Jacksonville and the Jets, because Jacksonville brought in former Jets running back Chris Ivory in the offseason. I think, if anything, Chris Ivory can be that guy for Jacksonville. I wouldn't be surprised if I see him with 1,000 yards. Chris Ivory's been a great player, not only with the Jets for the past 2 years, but with the Saints even before that. Jacksonville, a team that could really surprise a lot of people building that defense. Blake Bortles had a good season last year.
He did.
He still has to avoid a lot of mistakes, but he has a lot of solid targets. Allen Robinson, Allen Hurns, Julius Thomas. Now you bring in Chris
Lee.
Right. So from USC, he was a rookie last year. So now you bring in Chris Ivory, who can complement that running game. The Jacksonville Jaguars could be that breakout surprise team this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Jaguars' downfall for Ivory is it's not as good of an offensive line as the Jets had, at least in a run blocking scheme. But yeah, I mean, he wasn't amazing with the Saints. It wasn't necessarily his running style. But no, he definitely has every option to do well with the Jaguars, and it's a stable of running backs, whether you look at him or Denard, Robinson, or T.J. Yeldon.
He was solid last year as well.
Yeah, they all fill different roles. So that's definitely one reason why I like the preseason. Are you looking forward to the Packers-Browns game in any sense? Do you have anything to look forward to in that game? I'm personally looking forward to watching Cody Kessler play a little bit.
Of the Browns.
Robert Griffin III a little bit. Obviously, the Packers, Rodgers probably isn't going to play. Nelson's still fully rehabbing off of kind of some tendonitis in his opposite knee of overcompensating his injury this offseason. Things like that. Is there anything you're looking forward to for them?
I mean, I guess there's maybe one or two things. The one thing you obviously hope for is to get out of the game healthy. You don't want to have any injuries. I guess the one thing I want to see is what Eddie Lacy looks like. Reports are that he's been doing P90X all summer, trying to slim down. And then you obviously look at pictures in training camp, but you don't really see any footage. So if you can finally see him in game action on tape, see if he looks any more faster, smaller, elusive, whatever you make of it. That's probably the one thing I'm looking forward to, is what Eddie Lacy looks like, because we would all agree that he was not really fit last year, had his worst season so far as a pro, so he really needed to do a lot to change his body, and I guess this is going to be our first time to really look at what he's done.
Yeah. All right. So Raiders, Cardinals. I feel like they play each other every single year in the preseason. Excuse me. I would say the Raiders. I'm kind of looking forward to some of their defensive pieces they added. Carl Joseph. Looking forward to him, first round pick. But I'm looking forward to Connor Cook, seeing a little bit of action from him, seeing what he can do. Cardinals. There's not much there. I'm really looking forward to. They're one of the more dominant teams in the AFC right now. So they're going to probably sit a lot of their veterans. Moving on to Saturday. Before we get finished with this segment here, the Seahawks and the Chiefs, looking forward to some action from Nick Foles. new quarterback for the Chiefs, backup for Alex Smith.
Jimmy Graham's off the PUP list. I don't know if he's going to play, but he's at least practicing. It's a big addition for the Seahawks.
Yeah, they're getting him back after getting hurt in Week 11 there against Pittsburgh. The Chiefs obviously have a lot of young players, some young passers. Kevin Hogan currently is on the Chiefs quarterback
from Stanford
carousel as well. Yeah, Aaron Murray. So some young arms there for the Chiefs as well. Moving on to the Bills, you have the Bills-Colts. Andrew Luck is probably going to play a little bit like they planned on in the Hall of Fame game. Probably not excessively, but a little bit. Not much to really look forward to there in terms, not look forward to, but look towards, The Bills, pretty straightforward. You can see some Reggie Bush action, I'm sure, but at the same time, he's a veteran, so you have to keep him, probably on a pitch count in a sense, there. We have the Chargers-Titans. I am looking forward to seeing some Mariota play from him just a little bit. Melvin Gordon, disappointed a little bit last year for the Chargers. Big
disappointment.
Yeah, seeing if he's going to have any kind of, coming off an injury, have any kind of impact here in the first few games in the preseason. Texans and the Niners are playing on Sunday. I don't really have much to look forward to other than a little bit of Osweiler stuff in that game and some Jeff Driscoll play from the quarterback position for the Niners. But probably
I'd say the whole quarterback position for the Niners in general. You could see if Kaepernick can break through or the Blaine Gabbert. We talked about on Tuesday who we thought would come out on top of that quarterback battle, and the preseason is probably going to determine it.
It is, yeah. And I would say that probably behind the Steelers game, my most notable game to look forward to would be the Rams and Cowboys, and that is because number 1 overall pick Jared Goff will be playing second in that game after Case Keenum does start. So I'm very interested to see how that goes for him, his first technical NFL action as a starting quarterback, at least when he gets into the game, of course. And the Cowboys have Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott to look at as well. So lots of stuff to look forward to for me in Week 1 of the NFL preseason.
I know you're excited. I know it's your baby.
Wait.
So
yeah, I don't work till 6 today, so I can
to see at least a bit of action.
The Eagles game. I may be able to catch Wentz play a little bit, and I might be able to see some of the Redskins game as well. If I can find them, they're not always like the NFL Network will do. Like some games are going to be on NFL Network,
and
Saints,
ESPN
Patriots
does some games too.
Tomorrow the Steelers game's going to be on NFL Network. ESPN has the Rams-Cowboys game on Saturday night, all of that nature. But the NFL Network does do a preseason round table where they look at a bunch of them.
Right, of course, it's their niche, so they have to pretty much cover it. So I know you're excited. I guess it's an exciting time. I'm not
regular season's that much closer, Ben.
Again, I'm not a fan of the preseason, but as you said, the regular season is closer. You do get a good look at some young players. You get a look at maybe people who could surprise in the regular season. Breakout stars. So, I guess it's definitely a good thing. It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm just waiting, man. Okay, well, we got to take our last break, and we'll come back with a little bit of news in the MLB front and Prince Fielder. So we'll be right back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
All right, we're back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, and we're going to move into baseball. And unfortunate news of Prince Fielder, and he's being forced in a sense, I guess, of the word. He has to retire. The doctors told him that he can't play baseball anymore in the professional baseball league. He can't play Major League Baseball. He had 2 spinal fusions this past year, so in the past 3 years, he's had 2 of them. He did the press conference in a neck brace.
Yeah, it was really sad just to even watch it. You could tell he was really emotional. You could tell it was something that was being forced upon him as opposed to a solid decision, something he didn't want to do yet. So I really feel for Prince in that aspect.
Yeah, the crazy thing was he had only missed 1 game in all of his previous seasons before being traded to Texas.
That's sort of where, ironically, it's sort of where it went downhill there.
Yeah, it's a shame to see. I mean, he was very, emotional about it. Clearly, it's not something he wanted to do. A lot of players have come out in support of him. Elvis Andrews came out and said, "It's a sad day for our club and baseball. We're going to miss you a bunch, bro, and personally thank you all for your help and friendship. I love you and your family, and I know that I can call you my brother." Pudge Rodriguez said, "We will miss you, Prince Fielder. Great person and an amazing player. Thanks for teaching us all so many great things." So many players on that team have been so supportive of him so far. And in coming in the week especially of players, A-Rod, who's retiring in kind of a forced retirement in the sense of the Yankees are kind of parting ways, and Teixeira, who's more so just retiring because he's getting up there in age. Fielder wants to play, and he is not that old, but he physically can't do it anymore.
Yeah, he had a great season last year. He hit over 300. So he hit in 158 games last year. He hit 305 with 23 home runs and 98 RBIs. That's not too bad. But this year is where it really sort of had the most lingering effect. He was only hitting 212 with 8 home runs and 44 RBIs before he's forced to go on the DL. He's going to have surgery. He was expected to be out the whole season with that surgery. Yeah. So he's really just
prepping for what's going to come.
Prepping for the inevitable, and that's going to be retiring, unfortunately. So
yeah, I liked Prince Fielder. I've always liked Prince Fielder.
The lasting impressions I'm going to have of Prince Fielder is like he would hit those skyrocket home runs, especially when he was with the Brewers. Maybe a little bit of the early Detroit Tiger days, but he would hit those skyrocket home runs where as soon as it left the bat, you knew that it was just absolutely crushed. You know what I mean? And he would just like stand there and sort of admire it for a minute. Yeah. That's going to be my lasting impression of Prince Fielder.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's, I liked him. I liked him a lot. It's sad. He's only 32 years old, which, it's not in any, that might be old in baseball terms, but
it's pretty young. I mean, look at Alex Rodriguez. He's still 41 and he's technically still playing for another day. So, I mean, you can sort of carry on your career a lot longer with baseball. I feel like in baseball, especially for a hitter, there's not as much athleticism that goes into it, more of a skill, being able to recognize pitches, the hand-eye coordination. So Prince Fielder is going to end his career with 319 home runs,
as many as his father,
1,028 RBIs. So yeah. I'd say he's not a Hall of Famer.
Unfortunately, no.
But a pretty solid career. He ended up hitting 50 home runs in 2007 with the Brewers. So, I mean, in 1 year with the Brewers, he had 141 RBIs. That's a lot. That's almost an RBI a game, almost.
Yeah, that's insane. No, he's gonna be missed as a player, and it's a shame to see. I'm sad to hear it.
Yeah, that's that's the one thing you don't ever want to see in sports is when people are forced to retire. Mm-hmm. Look at like David Wilson of the Giants when he had to retire with a neck injury a few years back. Yeah. He'd only been in the league like 3 years.
Not even a full 3 years.
So that's the one thing I hate about sports. It's of course injuries are going to happen. It's a physical, not so much in baseball, a physical sport, but a contact sport in a lot of sports. Your options for injuries are just, it's not a matter of if. It's not a matter of if, but when for someone to get injured at least once. You just hope that it doesn't become something so serious where it comes to this. But unfortunately, the end of the day is these injuries do happen, and it's really just a part of the game.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me, yeah, it's a shame, but I mean, it's the way of the game, like you said. Well, anyways, we got to get going. Next episode, we're going to talk A-Rod news. A little update on that. Some NFL players that are either heading into the season not too healthy or just some news on them as well in terms of maybe not playing. And we're going to end with our world-famous What's Trending.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Do you have any teasers for trending? Or?
Currently, I would say no, I do not.
Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of my trending teasers. So we will feature people like Barry Bonds.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're talking about there.
Basketball news.
Excuse me. Does that have to do with a certain schedule?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have Barry Bonds. Basketball news. We're going to have water in the Olympics. That's been a big headline going into the Olympics. So
you're talking Aquafina?
Not bottled water. And then others. I'll say that.
Others. Okay. Well,
I don't want to give it away.
That's fair enough. Well, hey, as always, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, and on our website, gsmcpodcast.com. You can even find us on YouTube as well at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment if you're on YouTube. You can listen to our shows every day of the week. We do 2 each day for sports. We do soccer. Ben does baseball. I do football. I have 4 shows a week for that. So always keep an eye out on that as well. As always, I am Alex.
I'm Ben.
We will see you guys on our next episode where it's just going to be the coolest stuff in the whole world to talk about.
That is very
Sports.
true. The world of sports, that is.
All right, see you guys next time.
Have a good day.